Hey guys, what's up? Zyflin here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about how you can rank up fast in Fortuna. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon, all that there good stuff. Let's just go ahead, jump right into the video. So Fortuna is by far the community's least favorite open world whenever it comes to actually ranking up here, for the simple fact that you have debt bonds in the way. You got to do some hunting and stuff like that. But today I'm on my beginner account and I'm going to show you one simple trick that is going to allow me to max out my daily standing in a few seconds. So what we're going to do is trade gems for Solaris standing. I'm just going to go ahead and middle mouse button that, and I'm done. There you go. I just maxed out my Fortuna standing for today. Now, of course, that isn't possible if you don't put in the work to actually get those gems. Now, the way that you go about doing that is by killing the exploiter boss in Fortuna, and this requires you to get Firmia from the Firmia Fractures event to actually start the boss fight. Now, there's a cave on the far right hand side of Fortuna. You go in there and that starts the fight. You insert some Firmia into like a little machine thing, and then what's going to happen is the boss fight is going to start. You're going to pick up this Firmia, throw it at like the chilled vents of the boss, and that's going to allow you to damage these vents. Then the spider is going to crawl all the way up back into the open world, and it's just a matter of you killing like the small mobs that are around and then picking up the things that they drop, charging those up by placing them in like the lava that is coming up from the ground, and then throwing that at the spider and shooting them while they're in the air until it overheats, then jumping on top of the spider and pulling out the core that is inside, and rinse and repeating that process until he actually dies, right? And that is pretty much it. That is how you go about getting those gems extremely fast. Now, you're only really able to do that if you have the Firmia laying around, if you put in the work to get the Firmia, or even better, if you have a friend who has Firmia laying around, running through that mission just a few times to get yourself that amount of gems, right? Because it was one afternoon that I put in, and I basically have all of those gems just laying around to trade in to max out my Fortuna standing extremely fast, right? And it's not a hard boss fight, right? It's not like you need to have some crazy weapon or anything like that to deal damage to the vents of the spider. It's just a matter of having the likes of like maybe a Heck or a Rubico or something like that, and then you're good to go, right? The other alternative that you have to doing the exploiter boss fight is doing your hunting. Of course, you have to come to the business over here, and the business sells Echolers, right? So these here things. So you take this, you go into Fortuna, you bring out the Echoler, and that's going to mark the pieces of poop. I shit you not, pieces of poop on the ground. You walk up to the piece of poop, you interact with it, it's going to give you a trail to follow. That's going to lead you to your nest. Then you use the Echoler at the nest, and the animal is going to spawn in. You use your trank rifle or a sleep ability from Ivara, like her sleep arrow, or from Equinox, her, I think it's her second ability. Use either of those to put the animal to sleep, and then you can just walk up, capture him, and that's going to give you a certain amount of standing. It's not like Deimos, it's not like Plains Vital, where you can just fly in and use the trank rifle and trank rifle any of the animals that are, you know, running about, right? You actually have to go through this entire process, and it is kind of slow, but there are some cases where you can get a ton of standing from these animals, right? It's a little bit more involved than the exploiter, right? Because once you run the exploiter a few times, you're able to just trade in those gems. The big thing that gets in many people's way are the debt bonds, and we're going to talk about those in today's video as well. So if you jump up here over to this here guy called Ticker and you talk to him, you can actually purchase debt bonds for Fortuna resources and for credits, right? So currently to rank up, I need the medical debt bonds and advanced debt bonds. So I should be looking here whenever these rotate out to see if he's actually selling any, right? So this is training and shelter, medical debt bonds, shelter, and training. But I need to go into Fortuna and actually get Gorgotchia's spore, wherever the hell that drops from. I'm just gonna have to run around until I get some, because apparently I do have some, but that's just one of those resources which is about the planet, right? So you just have to run around and hopefully pick it up. Then I've got more stuff over here. So I need Axodrol alloy. That's a mining resource which you get from mining in Fortuna. Unfortunately, don't have any of those. Echo Winder, okay, I'm not even gonna try. Anoscopic, and then whatever the rest of that is. Then we've got nanospores. So there's some pretty easy ones, and sometimes you get lucky, and the debt bonds that you need will be in here for a an easy to trade in resource, right? Or an easy amount of credits to trade in with Ticker. But if that's not an option for you, if you're not able to actually just come up to Ticker and trade with him, we're going to talk about the drop rates of debt bonds and how you can efficiently farm them from bounties, right? So we'll talk about training debt bonds first. They are the most common type of debt bonds, like they're the easiest to come across. So training debt bonds drop from the tier 1 bounty. So that's this one right here. And it drops from stages 1 and 2. So stage 1, they have a 20% chance to drop, and stage 2, they have a 15.49% chance to drop. So essentially, what you want to be doing with these bounties whenever you're running them and you're trying to farm debt bonds specifically, you want to do those first 2 stages or just the first stage, and then you cancel the bounty by abandoning that stage, right? So you can go and you can activate the stage that you're on, right? Let's say you want to cancel at stage 3. You activate stage 3. You fly away from it with your Arcwing or your K-Drive or whatever, and then that will abandon the objective, and then you restart the bounty and do stages 1 and 2 again, and then repeat that process. And then if you want to keep all of your debt bonds that you earned from those bounties, you essentially just go back down the elevator in the Fortuna and you'll have them still in your inventory, right? Pretty straightforward. So the same thing can be said with the shelter debt bonds. Do you get those from the second bounty here? So you can see the drop on the possible rewards on their common there. So 20% chance on stage 1, 14.81% on stage 2, so it's getting lower and lower. Medical debt bonds, which is the first one that everybody struggles with, bounty free. Stage 1 is 20%, stage 2 is 12.50%, and then stage 3 is 12.50% as well. So you actually have 3 chances of getting medical debt bonds whenever you play this stage 3 or this tier 3 bounty, right? Advanced debt bonds, you get bounty 4. So stage 1 has a 19.35% chance to drop. Stage 2 is 14.81% chance to drop. Stage 3 is 14.81%. And then finally, stage 4 is 13.19%. I really never struggled with the advanced ones. So it was just a matter of me running this bounty a few times to get the ones that I needed. The one that I do struggle with the most is medical, like everyone else. And then finally, we have familial debt bonds. So this you get from bounty stage 5. And this one actually has a 25% chance to drop on stage 1, a 16.67% chance to drop on stage 2, 16.67 on stage 3, and then finally a 14.29% chance to drop on stage 4. So the stay or the tier 4 and tier 5 bounties are a lot easier to get the advanced and the familial debt bonds from, simply because there's more bounty stages to do, so there's more chances of getting them in the one bounty run, if that makes sense. Where medical, it's like you have a pretty quick bounty and you get, you know, free chances, but the drop chance is kind of right? So medical debt bonds are by far the most annoying, and it's just a matter of running the bounties over and over and over again if you're not going to go down the right of trying out, you know, talking to Ticker and getting the stuff from him, right? So that's just a few options that you've got whenever it comes to ranking up fast with Fortuna, you know. By far the fastest way to just get standing is to do the exploiter boss fight a few times. If you've got a friend that is willing to carry you through it or just start the fight for you or anything like that, you know, there's multiple things you can do to maximize your runs if you're super desperate for Fortuna standing, right? So potentially you could have a resource booster, resource drop chance booster, you could have a resource drop chance blessing, stuff like that, and then you get like really rare gems. You could have a Smita buff and stuff like that, and that will get you a ton of what's it called as well, a ton of resources from that too. So yeah, you've got a lot of options. The exploiter is my favorite, but of course it does require a little bit of preparation, and it may require a little bit of carrying, but I just wanted to make you guys aware that it's there for you to use if you've got any friends who are in the game. And yeah, they've got the Fermia laying around for you to go ahead and get that stuff. The Fermia comes around pretty often. The Fermia event, it comes around pretty often. I'm not too sure like the actual time rotation for it, but it's there from time to time. It is a pretty boring event. It's basically a mobile defense in Fortuna or the Ord Valis. So, you know, get a defense frame or a frame that can kill everything like Mesa, and then you should be good to go whenever it comes to farming Fermia. So that is pretty much it for the video, guys. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe for more Warframe content. Check out the Patreon for early access to all my videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one.